You're watching Mugen TV RPG Haven. Experience a fantasy like no other.
Hey guys, it's MugenLord here, and I just want to say that last night's Nintendo Direct was just amazing. If you're a JRPG fan or you're just an RPG fanatic in general, there was a ton of announcements that was made last night that just blew me away. And I can truly say that this year, 2022, is definitely the year of JRPGs. So with that being said, let's dive into tonight's topic. And this topic I really want to talk about is a particular game that's pretty much going to be released this year, 2022, and yet no one is talking about it. And I've been anticipating this JRPG for some time now, and that JRPG is Granblue Fantasy Relink. How come no one is talking about it? Let's just dive into it, because I just want to break this down for those of you who don't know anything about Granblue Fantasy at all. So for starters, it's created by the company named Cygames. Cygames more so work on mobile games, and Granblue Fantasy was a mobile game that's very, very popular in Japan, and they've been trying to push this series to pretty much overseas to try to get this game to gain the same notoriety that it has in Japan. And the game has been pretty much announced 4 years ago at a Cygames festival in Japan when they made the announcement of Granblue Fantasy Relink, which is the console version of the game, and they wanted to take it into a whole new direction to gain new fans and people who just love JRPGs in general. But later that year, at E3, they announced that it was definitely coming to consoles and not just PC. And when I seen that at E3, my mind was blown. It was blown away. I said, man, I definitely gotta just get more information on this game because I really want to get my hands on it from what they've shown so far. Now, the good thing that really got me hyped about it was Cygames had made the announcement that they had contracted Platinum Games to work on the combat mechanics. Now, if you guys follow my channel, or if you guys are pretty much into action-based games, Platinum Games has the pedigree to design some of the most popular, some of the most favorite combat gameplay mechanics in most action games, or even just action RPGs in general. So when I heard that they were working on it, I was super excited for that. And it seemed like they've been pushing a heavy campaign to bring awareness, outside of Japan. So Cygames had also pushed forward and commissioned Arc System Works to work on a fighting game series called Granblue Fantasy Versus. And then they also had a follow-up with an anime to also introduce players into it. So they tried to attack different genres and different mediums as well in order to bring people into the world of Granblue Fantasy, and that shows dedication right there. Definitely a lot of dedication, and Granblue Fantasy Versus was enough to actually get me into it, bringing me into that world with that fighting game. So now I'm looking like, okay, when are we gonna get the JRPG version of the game? I've been waiting for it. They had showed this 123-minute long video of what we can expect from the game, and the main thing that I really love about Granblue Fantasy Versus Relink is the art style itself. Now, this is the thing, the character designs are very sick. It seemed like every character in Granblue Fantasy, especially if you check out the fighting game Granblue Fantasy Versus, all the character designs are sick. It just seemed like every character in that game is a main character. Everybody has sick designs. No one looks generic. Everybody has a unique style to them when it comes to their armor, comes to their clothing, even the weapons that they have, and also their fighting styles, which makes the game that much more appealing. And I definitely want to get my hands on the game. Not just that, when it comes to JRPGs, I will admit, most games, especially JRPGs, outside of Tales of Arise, the Final Fantasy series, and Xenoblade series, most JRPGs in terms of graphics and visual fidelity, most of them don't really look that great compared to most Western counterparts or games outside of the RPG genre in general. Most of them don't look that good, but right here, Granblue Fantasy Versus, it seems like they really putting a lot of emphasis on the color palette, the art style, and actually making it vibrant, just like as if it comes from like an anime itself, which is really cool. And that's what I think that really draws me into the game. Now, for those of you who don't know, Granblue Fantasy Relink is also an action RPG, and Platinum Games, like I said before, is the perfect studio for this kind of gameplay. Especially if you aren't familiar with it and haven't realized that you played a Platinum Games creation, think about Nier Automata. Nier Automata was also developed by Platinum Games underneath Square Enix, the Bayonetta series, Astral Chain, in which Astral Chain I'm actually going to do a video, a solo separate video that I really want to get into with that as well. That was actually a pretty good action RPG in general, and they also have other titles under their belts, so these guys definitely know what they're doing. So these only contracted for developing the combat mechanics, and just last year or a year and a half ago, they made the announcement that they're officially done working on the combat, so their contract is up, and Side Games is handling the rest of the game like they were doing from the beginning. So as far as the gameplay and modes that they have and what we know so far, because Side Games has really been hushed with the gameplay as far as the development of the game, but lately they've been revealing more and more about the game. There's been a ton of trailers that's been up for the game, and everybody's just been quiet about it. No one's been talking about it. So what we do know so far as modes, we have story mode, and then we also have quest mode. Now quest mode, which is a cool feature, and I can't wait to actually test it out because they also have gameplay for it too. Quest mode is actually a multiplayer feature where you actually go on various different quests. You can better select the character that you want, and you get your friends together and you go on these different type of adventures together. So I'm thinking it may be like a Phantasy Star type of approach, or maybe a Monster Hunter type of approach they was going to it. But the thing I do find unique is what they're doing with this quest mode, in which I haven't really seen in any other RPG in a long time but one, which is White Knight Chronicles, because what they're doing with this is you unlock more quests as you progress through the story. So you unlock other quests, it goes into the quest mode, and they also planning on creating more in-game content within the quest mode itself through DLC in the near future, which they talked about. But it reminds me of White Knight Chronicles, because in White Knight Chronicles they had a multiplayer feature which coincide with the main game, and you create your own avatar within the main game, which you walk alongside the protagonist. But if you meet different NPCs and earn different quests, it unlocks quests for the multiplayer mode. And it seems like they're going with that approach, which you haven't really seen in any like most modern JRPGs, especially of this generation. So that's pretty unique to see, today and all. So the multiplayer is going to be pretty cool, and it seems like that they're going to definitely put heavy emphasis on the multiplayer moving forward as far as adding additional content. So I'm really like super excited for that, to see where that go. And I already have my eyes set on certain characters that I really want to play as. Especially I want to play as Gran. I mean, come on, it's Gran is pretty much the franchise boy for Granblue Fantasy for the series altogether. But there's a ton of characters I really want to get my hands on and give a try, and I want to see what lengths that they go to with this game as far as things outside of combat, whether it be a crafting system or a different type of armor system. How would the questing be? How big is the world? Will they have an overworld to it? How expansive is this game? And that's what really makes me super excited about this. And as I said before, this game is supposed to come out. They're doing a worldwide release. So it's not coming out in just Japan by itself, but it's also going to be a worldwide release for the game. And it comes out 2022, and yet no one is talking about it, and it's baffling me. Maybe, I don't know, like maybe have you guys ever heard of this game? Like, what's going on here? This is something to be excited about, in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to it, to add into my JRPG library. I mean, we're getting so many games. Like I mentioned before, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out this year. We also have the Front Mission remake. We have the Chrono Cross remaster that's coming out. We just have a bunch of games coming out this year, and then we have the announcement of this game that's supposed to drop this year, and hopefully that they still stay on target for this release year, because I really want to get my hands on this game so I can cover this game, play this game, maybe live stream it so you guys can pretty much check it out to determine whether or not that you would like to get this game yourself. But all I can say is just keep the JRPGs coming, and that pretty much wraps up this video. This is all the information that we know so far of the game and the game released this year. Have you been following this game? Have you ever played the mobile game of Granblue Fantasy? And if you play fighting games, have you played the Granblue Fantasy Versus game as well? Definitely your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to hear more news concerning Granblue Fantasy or just JRPGs in general, hit that bell to be notified. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.